Sensei Nick, you ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm excited about this one. Ladies and gentlemen, when we were planning this one out, our goal was to introduce a new concept to everybody. The concept itself is not new, but the acronym is. We're big fans of hip-hop. There's Kanye and Jay-Z, and they've got some songs where they talk about going gorilla and going crazy and essentially just going out there in the world and creating the vision, creating the lifestyle for yourself that you dream for. We're talking about going ape. I know that sounds funny, but when you break it down, it's assess, plan, and execute. Ape. Today, that's exactly what we want everyone to try embodying. Assess where you're at, what you want, what you don't have, the types of things you need to do in your business. Make a plan to go out and essentially execute. So we're going to go ape today, everyone. I know it sounds funny, but that's the theme. I'm going to go to the next slide here. Here's ChampionsWay in Perfect Mind. And Sensei Nick, why don't you do your lovely introduction that you do at the beginning of each one of your webinars, and we'll go back and forth and get this going.
Let's do it. All right, guys, just real proud to be doing this webinar, final webinar of the year with John Malik. John Malik was the person that actually brought webinars to the martial arts industry, so big shout out to that. Always being an innovator there, John. So let's go through this, and we'll be tearing this up for everybody today, and hopefully everybody's ready to go for 2012. So a little bit about ChampionsWay. We were founded in 1998 by Master Frido Dar, and we currently serve over 5,000 small businesses. We employ 60-plus people. Our headquarters is in Vancouver, British Columbia, and we have a small office located in New Jersey. You can follow ChampionsWay on any of our social platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, also our blog, and we also still have the world's largest martial arts online community, and also our lounge on championsway.com.
Fantastic.
Okay, slide, please.
Yes, sir. Oh, my goodness, you put that in there? That's great.
I had to, man. I had to. This right here, guys, just pretty much is something that I think every school owner needs to pay close attention to. You know, one thing about being involved in the martial arts schools for like 17 years now, you know, I met John approximately about 12 years ago, and you know, we started talking. He helped me with my school. I was actually trying to cancel ChampionsWay. He convinced me to stay with it. And when you're looking at this picture here, this is where me and John basically came up with a concept for the ChampionsWay library. A lot of the things that we've come up with for ChampionsWay have been after-hour talks. Everyone's so busy working during the day. That's when you're doing all your stuff for operations for the school. Okay, but it's those late hours, 10:30, 11 o'clock, you know, at nighttime, where you come up with the ideas that could revolutionize or just make you more money, come up with some amazing things for your school. So if you have the privilege or the opportunity to ever talk to John or any of us from ChampionsWay late at night, and you want to get involved in that network, we're going to show you some of the social networks that you could follow me and John on, so that way you can stay in the loop, with others along, like Ricardo Almeida, who's now connected with us, Jay Manley, Master Ace Ramirez, just to name a few. These guys, we talk to them all the time. So if you'd like to follow us on Facebook, you could follow. These links are live. If you want to click the ones for Facebook and Twitter, it's really good to keep up with us on there. And you could also look us up on Google Plus and LinkedIn. And it's all about networking and talking about just really what we call leaders of the new school ideas. All right, so you want to make sure you're staying up to date, and the guys like John and Master Ace, Jay Manley, Ricardo Almeida, we're always networking and talking about the things that that are innovative. So if you would like to follow us and keep up to date, please do so there.
Also, one thing is we put the slides to this presentation up on SlideShare. I thought I put the link in there, but it looks like it's not there, ladies and gentlemen. But if you go to slide, share.net/JIAL1 just like the Twitter and the Facebook on the page there, you can actually download the slides from today and follow along with them at any time after the presentation. So check that out as well.
Okay, so what the next level looks like in 2012, that is your goal. Okay, you finished the year. Now your goal is you want to go to the next level during 2012.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we broke this down into 3 takeaways. John had some amazing ideas, and what we did was we put it together. So we're going to keep this really simple. Takeaway number 1 is 0 to 50. It's all about you. Okay, usually when you have 0 to 50 students, you're doing everything possible to get your business to that next level, that 50 to 150. Once you get to that 50 to 150, okay, the next thing is leadership. Leadership will determine your income. So that's going to be takeaway number 2. Okay, a lot of people talk about marketing, about different things, but ultimately okay, leadership. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And then to go to 150 and up, what's in it for everybody else? A lot of people never really talk about this, but if you're looking to go to the next level when you're 300, 500, 600 students, okay, or open multiple locations, you need to stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about what's in it for everybody else that's following you. Okay, so this real cool thing about me and John is John with ChampionsWay and he started there from the beginning with 1 employee, okay, and myself starting with 1 location and 1 instructor myself, and then opening multiple locations. We're going to help you guys understand all these different things to help you. John, you want to add anything to that?
The only thing I just want to say is exactly pretty much, the concept of if you want to get to the point where you are building a mini empire or trying to create a legacy where you're truly, taking a community presence and building that into a martial arts phenomenon in your area, you cannot do it by yourself. And in order to have a crew, in order to have a group of people that are just down to ride with you and essentially operate in a manner as if they own your school as well, it's really about each and every day considering what's going on through their head and ensuring that they understand the best opportunity in their life right now is to be working with you because of the person you are and because of the type of school you're trying to run. So I couldn't agree with everything you said more, Sensei Nick, and let's go to the next slide, sir.
Let's do it. Okay, so takeaway number 1, it's all about you, 0 to 50. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so what we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to, we've all been in this position, okay, whether you're one of those larger schools, okay, and you're watching our webinar here, but it's really good to remember. And one thing me and John talked about when we were putting this webinar together was, Sensei, what was it like when you first opened? And this is what it was like when I first opened. This is what it was like before I was using Perfect Mind, sitting there thinking everything's on your back. That was the best way I could explain it. So it's all about you. Everything comes down on you. You can't afford staff. Okay, so that's the number 1 thing that we want to think about right there. Next slide, please.
No sick days, no time off, no vacation. Get it done.
Never. Yep. So that's what we're going to talk about in the truth. Okay, so we're going to keep it real. That's one thing we're always talking about from school owners' perspective. No BS, just straight up what is going to be the truth. So let's go to the next slide. And like John said, basically, no breaks, no days off, no time for excuses. Your work ethic will determine your income.
So
Next
true.
slide, please. Thanks, John. And I'll let you add some more on this one, John, because I'm sure you've talked to more school owners than I have with your 15 years of experience. But the 5 biggest mistakes that I've seen, okay, where people don't get to that next level from we're talking 0 to 50, they get stuck there. And here's what I've noticed. They're working at home, okay? They think that for whatever reason that the martial arts business, they should be working at their computer in front of their house or inside their basement, okay, so working at home. If you find yourself doing that and you're still stuck at that 0 to 50, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter. Just do whatever you got to do, but work inside your school. So working at home, you're never going to get there, not being open. Okay, the second thing would be opening at 3 o'clock, okay, the killer to the martial arts business. So you're stuck at 0 to 50, between 0 and 50. If you're walking in, strolling in, okay, around 3 o'clock, and you don't know what to do, and you're trying to figure out what it is exactly you need to do, please, we'll talk more about that later, but that's another mistake. You cannot open at 3 o'clock. The second thing is 0 to 50, having no sales skills. We hear this a lot from people, that I'm just a martial artist, I'm just a martial artist. Okay, well, same thing. I was just a martial artist when I opened my school as well. Okay, but, when it comes to making the bread and butter and making the money, you have to develop into some sales skills to convert. You can't wait on other people to sign up. You have to close. You have to go. You have to get them to sign on the dotted line yourself. Okay, so that's number 3. The number 4 thing is waiting for students to walk through the door. Okay, like don't just sit on your computer or sit in your school and wait. Okay, you need to go out and do it yourself and bring them in. Whether you need to go to every school system in the area, go to every single Rotary meeting, whatever it takes. You cannot sit and wait for them to come in. That's in general in any business. If you sit around and wait, okay, you'll be waiting for a long time. You have to go out and get them. And then the fifth thing is not being obsessed with your student count or not knowing it. So you think you have 37 students, 46 students. If you don't know every single day that you have 51 students, you have 39 students, 48 students, that active count, that number means everything. Okay, it constantly must be growing at that point where you're between 0 and 50 because you're only a couple weeks away from going out of business. I hate to give you the truth on that one, but when you have less than 50 students, you're only a couple bad weeks away. You get behind on the rent, and you'll turn into some schools that we've seen in the past just close. John, any other mistakes you'd like to add to that?
Main mistake is essentially designing your schedule around convenience or around your current lifestyle and your current habits. It's just not going to work that way. In order for your business to change, if you're the only person running it, you need to change. So you cannot schedule your week and you cannot schedule your classes. You can't schedule your heavy admin days based on your lifestyle. You got a family, I respect that. But if you want to provide for that family, there's sacrifice involved. Your Sundays are not safe. You need to put a couple days in, or sorry, a couple hours in on your Sunday to plan out what's going to happen on Monday. If you're starting your planning Monday morning, okay, good luck to you. But there's someone else in your area that did their planning the day before, and they're ready to hit the ground running. So that's one aspect I definitely have to stress there, is that your weekends are not safe when you're running a business by yourself. Beyond that, you have to find times to understand working on your business versus in your business, and draw a line down the page at the beginning of the week and write all the tasks you did to work on your business versus in your business. And if there's not a decent balance, don't be surprised if you're not growing. It's as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'd like to add. I'll go to the next slide, Sensei.
Thank you, John. Okay, so let's talk about, we always start with the end in mind. So let's talk about what we needed to get started when it comes to GNC, which we consider generate, nurture, and convert. So let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so for each level of school, we broke this down in 3 categories. John had a great idea, and he broke this down into 3 different categories. The first we call GNC, generate, nurture, and convert. Okay, so when you have 0 to 50 students, or 150, okay, plus, or you're stuck between the 50 and 150, we're going to break this down for each level, each school. And then retention and automation, or eliminating the administration work. So let's start first with the GNC for 0 to 50. Next slide, please. Okay, so, sorry, John, we'll just go into that again, but so this is 0 to 50, and this is a perfect picture. One of my favorite shows, and John's favorite shows, and a lot of people I talk to, is Entourage. Just an amazing, show. It's fun. Everyone's into it. And the thing that I wanted to point out for this one is that, you basically need to be like the Ari Gold. Now, I know he's crazy in some different areas, and they portray him in some different areas, but if you look at the way that the relationship that Ari has with Vince and E, okay, like, he is genuine. He does care tremendously about Vince. It's not about the money, okay? He really, really does care. You've seen the show. So you must become, at that 0 to 50 range, you got to care so much, because when people will not, let's go to the next slide, John, so I can go over one key point here. Before people will buy from you, they have to believe that you care. So when I opened my school, okay, and I was pulling up, and when I first started opening, and people saw that that I was broke, and they.
What were you driving then, Sensei?
Sensei, it's funny. I was actually driving a Beetle.
That's awesome.
Yes, the first car I was driving was an actual Beetle. It was, I just leased it before I opened my school. I was paying about $209 a month, and it was very hard to make those payments. I do remember that. And so people would see me pull up, and they saw that I was, always packing my lunch. I really never went out anywhere. A lot of times, students would ask me, if I wanted to go out, and I really didn't have the money. So they knew, and they would just say, "Sensei Nick, don't worry about it. We got you." And they were just constantly bringing more students in for me. Because they knew that I really cared, because I was tough on my students. I demanded the best out of them. I stayed late for them. I did private lessons for free, movie nights for free, anything I could to just show the students that I cared. So before people buy from you, they have to believe that you care, and relationship building is essential in the 0 to 50 range.
It's really expected when you're a small business, isn't it, Sensei? I mean, people go to a huge health club. They're paying for the opportunity to be a part of the cool crowd. They're attracted to the acceptance concept of going where everyone else is going, and they expect a little bit of an impersonal experience when they're walking into a busy, busy health club. Now, you go into a small martial arts school. It's obvious you don't have the budget that health club does, but most consumers these days, they get it. They know that you're a small business, and what they're looking for is that endearing, very personal experience, and I just can't stress that enough. If you don't provide that, then you've really taken one of the main allures out of joining a small school, and that's the core group of students that, as Sensei Nick said, are going to take care of you and catch your back and provide referrals and look for opportunities to help you grow your school even when you're not thinking about it. Next slide, Sensei.
Yes, sir. So I broke this down into the keys to building relationships, because I've dealt with so many instructors over the year, fired so many instructors over the year, because I expect the same type of passion when it comes to a head instructor or a full-time instructor. So the keys: number one, the students have to trust you. Okay, that's obviously the most important thing to any type of relationship. Now, meaning when they're talking about that is, they have to see that you're actually training as a martial artist. They have to see that you're actually trying to go out there and participate. A person that you could see online right now that has amazing reliability and all these things we're talking about is Professor Almeida. Okay, so the other thing would be reliability. Okay, when I talk about reliability, if you say you're going to be there, to open the school to come in early on a Sunday, you're there, even if it's not even on the schedule. Okay, but you're there. If you're showing up for your classes at 4:05 when the classes start at 4, like that's not good. You should have been there hours before. People should look and say like, wow, you've been here all day? Oh yeah, we were real busy all day. People were coming in. We're booking lessons. We have some free women's self-defense seminars going on. Oh, you did? Oh yeah, we actually do it every Tuesday. And you talk about things like that. But being reliable is really important, not closing your school just because you have to go to the doctor. I've seen that before, too. I had to close my school because I had to go to the doctor, or I had to close my school because I had to do this. You need to make those appointments not during working hours. And then, obviously, the passion. If you don't have the passion and you're not really doing this, you're just doing it to make money, okay? The money will follow, but if you have to be passionate in the martial arts. So these are the keys to building relationships. People must feel your trust, reliability, and passion. Next slide. So the keys to killing relationships, all right, well, this is really simple. BS stories, okay, just stories that are just, that people, you're making up things and you were late because of this and you're late because of that, and all these different stories. It starts to become very common. I've seen this with a lot of instructors. They just have so many problems in their life, and then they're teaching, and then what happens is they start talking about these stories that are in their life in the classes with their adults, talking about their credit card debt, talking about the problems and challenges. People do not want to be involved with that. They don't care. They're just not caring. Okay. We talked about being reliable. Well, not caring at all about your students. People are gonna, they're gonna see through that. Never on time. These are just the things that people just realize that you're no longer reliable. Next slide.
One I also want to throw in there that's definitely pretty much in line with everything you said is just also false promises. A lot of the time I hear instructors say, yeah, I'll try and get that equipment in for you. I'll order it. You should be able to spar by next Wednesday. And then they forget to do the purchase order, and the kids' dreams are crushed because they came in hoping to have that shiny pair of gloves that day. So, again, false promises. Be aware of what you're capable of delivering on.
That sparring gear demonstration, John, or explanation example is amazing. I've seen that so many times, just being in people's schools, and they go behind the counter, then someone comes up, oh, yeah, I was supposed to get my sparring gear. It's just a great point. If you're not getting referrals, take a look at the following. Okay, so we're talking about relationship building. We're talking about the first stage for a 0 to 50 school. If you're not getting referrals, you need to look at yourself. You need to look at your classes. You need to look at your students, and you'll be able to figure it out. So that's really that simple. So if people aren't referring you, then it's because of you, or your classes, or your students. Next slide.
Absolutely. And also your enrollment process. If you feel that you've signed a student up just at the point that they've signed your student agreement, you're terribly mistaken. You've signed a student up when they've referred 5 of their friends to you. That's when they're your student, so keep that in mind as well.
All right, so let's get started, John, on the next section. Move to the next slide after that. So we're still talking about GNC here, and you need a simple, basic online presence. Okay, so that means a functional website, all right, and the advantage that you guys have over 15 years ago when I first opened was no one even had websites. So imagine starting a school without a website. Well, I'm that guy. I can tell you what it's like to have a school without even having a website until about 2 years into when I started working with ChampionsWay. So starting with a simple, basic online presence, okay, and the key to that is, the reason why I'm saying that is you don't want to create confusion for the consumer. And a lot of people do that. You go to their website and you're just like, whoa, okay. It's just a mess. There's 65 different programs, 85 different boxes. So simple, and what do? We teach kids, adults, and we do cardio, kickboxing. Or we do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and we do kids. Okay, I've seen some schools just offering way too many things. So a simple, basic online presence. Birthday parties are a must. I could say that without having a website, the first 2 years that I was open, if it wasn't for birthday parties, I probably would have closed. That's 100% true. Because we did killer birthday parties. We had birthday parties all the time. With that, the word got out, and then we started getting so many students from our birthday parties because the parents loved it, and they wanted to get involved in our school. So those are the two key things right there. Next slide. Okay, and then this is the best picture I can find of our community. Okay, but the community outreach is critical. All right, so when you're getting started in your school, you have to make that presence in the community. That means whether you are having a grand opening and you get the mayor to come for exposure for them, and having some type of break-a-thon for cancer or some type of kickback for some type of special function. That's how you get involved with the community. And then go to the next slide, John, so I can go over some of the basics of the community. So getting into the school district, I have here, this is a picture of the school district of Philadelphia. Okay, it doesn't take much to get into these school districts. It takes a lot of persistency. All right, so you have to make sure that you're constantly trying to talk to people, offering free services, doing bully prevention seminars, whatever it takes to get in, but you have to keep trying. Rotary, some people might say that it's outdated, and probably is, okay, but you know what, still go there and get some exposure. Okay, the Chamber of Commerce, same thing. I know I've been to meetings recently. Okay, I went to meetings, and I was really surprised at some of the things they were talking about, but still, it was still good exposure, and I actually got some students out of it. So I'm not, and eventually you will delegate this to someone else to go to those meetings. The PTA, the Parent Teachers Association, that is a killer group to get involved with, and you could do that. You can go online and just call them. You can send them emails. You can go on Facebook. You can find all different types of PTA associations all over the place, and you want to get involved with that. In the middle, I put this in the middle because this is one of the, believe it or not, was one of the biggest keys in me getting my school off the ground was women's groups. Okay, and I was involved in a couple different women's groups where I taught self-defense courses. All right, also some bully prevention courses, and these women's groups got me so many referrals, and the word just started getting out. But those women's groups, I'll never forget them, because when I went to, it was like a local restaurant, believe it or not, and they had their meeting, and they asked me to come in and do a women's self-defense seminar. I did, and I must have gotten about 9 girls for cardio kickboxing, or women, and then eventually got their kids, and then referrals off of that. So these low-cost marketing ideas here, getting involved with these things, again, developing those relationships, it's all interconnected. Next slide.
And just a couple things here, Sensei. One thing, if you haven't tried it yet, is meetup.com. Meetup.com is essentially an online platform that helps connect people that have interests in particular items, activities, hobbies, and whatever those are, even people dealing with serious issues. And it's kind of like a support group. And people meet up on a regular basis through this website. I myself have been going to a new parents meetup, really great opportunity. And if someone were to come in and offer some kind of martial arts lessons or specials, or even just hand out some advisory, just hand out a document or a free article on something, you could build a really really strong name for yourself in an easy fashion. And there's all kinds of meetups going on in every city in North America. It's just a matter of kind of finding what is close to your niche so that way it makes sense for you to be there. And one other thing, Sensei, just so people get a full understanding of what it means to be persistent, can you give us an example of the most amount of times you had to go and follow up with a school district or a PTA group, or how many times did you get told come back, or you got shut down and then you finally got the yes?
Oh, great point too, John. You just have to have that basically, built inside your body, where you're just getting shot down doesn't even affect you anymore. All right, you're trying persistency, like John talked about so many times. Before I got into the school district, it took me, so many times for every one of them, all the big groups. Okay, but I never just let it get to me. I walk in, I'd ask to talk to someone, they wouldn't want to talk to me. I just really didn't take it personally. That's the thing. It's a great point, John. And that's why you in the beginning as the closer and selling and closing everybody, you develop that skill. And then you could pass it on as we talk later for other people when you're duplicating them, because their confidence will be shot too. But I mean, it just got to the point where, every time I've gotten shot down, I just didn't even care. I just kept going after it again and again and again until I was teaching in every single school system.
Oh, you got me up there, my bad, Sensei.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Talking about that. And that's, John, another great tool, like you said, Meetup, especially, these times have changed. So the things that I've had to do, now these people that have, or these school owners that have 0 to 50, it's a lot easier. The tools are all out there. And, we know that there were no webinars like this. You had to wait once a year to go to a convention to get ideas on, on VIPing and things that, that really, were effective back in the day but no longer work. So the great point on that one, John, the Meetup. And then also, obviously using your social platforms. Now, that was the best picture I can get for that one, but I would stick with Facebook, okay, Twitter, okay, so Twitter's becoming, it's going to be really popular in 2012, so you want to start getting on that. Google+. But and then the most important one really to me is blogging, but we'll talk about that later. But blogging is, that's really important. So let's go to the next slide, John, and move on. So the next thing, when we talk about GNC and these three different areas we're talking about, we're always going to break down GNC first, which is marketing. Then second will be the retention, and then finally is like the automation or elimination of the admin tasks for each different school level. So the 4 keys to student retention when you're at 0 to 50 students. And I broke this down. Number 1, teacher. When you have 0 to 50 students, okay, every single class must be taught by you. Okay, if you have other people coming in to teach that class, you are not out of like the red. Okay, you are basically, again, like I said, people might not like this, but you were a couple weeks away from not being open. All right, so everything is so critical. So having like an assistant teach or one of your friends teach or whatever, you want to make sure that you're teaching every single class because no one's going to care as much as you. They don't know how to care as much as you, and you want to be really careful. So try to make sure that you're teaching every single class. The second thing I have there is, hello, my name is, okay? You must know everyone's name. All right, people would always say this, now how do you remember everybody's name? And this is when we were at 650, 600 students, because that's the business that you're in. Once you stop remembering people's names and you're saying them every day, that's when you've gotten too big. So you want to make sure that, one thing that I've used was nicknames. I've made it nicknames for so many of my students, and the ones with nicknames, I could tell you, stay so much longer because they feel like they're part of something. So I just naturally would make up nicknames for children, but you want to make sure that you absolutely know everyone's name in your school. The third thing would be when you're doing these phone calls every single week, absent calls, 246 calls, you have to do the phone calls. All right, again, you're that close from being, not either making it or not making it. So every phone call is so critical. All right, you have to make sure that you're the one calling them. Yo, listen, Jim, get in for classes this week, okay? I haven't seen you, whatever, leaving messages, or if you're talking to them, like, you have to get them on the phone. If you just have your girlfriend calling them, leaving messages, you just picture what it's going to sound like. It's just not going to sound as good as coming from you. When I did absent calls in my school, even when it was open after 10 years, people couldn't believe it because I would just show them when we started noticing that we were getting a little bit slower, they'd be like, Sensei Nick, I think you should do some absent calls. I would do the absent calls and everybody would come in. Like there was a significant difference. So the head instructor doing the absent calls in the beginning is crucial. Good job notes, okay, I like to write personal good job notes to my students, to be, instead of just making the generic one, the fake card, just say good job, and then on the back you just put your name. I like to, at that point when you're 0 to 50, it's got to be something specific. It's got to be something personal. So glad to see that you're able to develop that round kick. So great that you're able to develop, that escape from the guard. So I saw how hard you worked on this. I saw how hard you worked on that. Highlighting them and talking about them and sending them personal messages, through the mail or email, telling them how great they're doing. Critical. All right, next slide.
All right, just a couple things to add really quick, Sensei. I spoke to someone yesterday, not going to mention his name, obviously. He has about 34 students, really nice guy. And he has a serious strength and a weakness, and that is that he's coming from another school that his head instructor was running that's very successful and has a lot of students. So he's getting started trying to replicate the success from that school. He's seen the blueprint. He knows how to do it. The issue is he's already trying to delegate all 4 of these things. And I asked him, why are you trying to delegate that? And his answer to me was that, well, I don't want to get stuck in the business before it even gets running. I want to build the foundation from the beginning that I'm only doing certain kinds of things so that way I can grow the school faster. And I had to advise him how sadly mistaken he was, because there's 2 aspects. Everything that Sensei Nick just said about if you really want to grow the school, you've got to be on the front lines doing these things because that's what's going to get the students excited. 100% agree. Beyond that, as we shift into the higher levels and start talking about leadership, one of the strongest points of being a good leader is being able to lead by example. And from time to time, when your staff is either not motivated or they're underperforming, you have to be able to jump in and do every single job in the school better than they can. If you can't do everything better than they can, honestly, it's going to be a lot harder to lead these people. So next slide.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome. Eliminating admin work. This is, I'll take this from here then, Sensei, I guess?
Yes, sir.
All right, so when it comes to eliminating admin work, we're talking about making sure you've got automation in place for some of the most serious aspects, mainly your statistics, managing your students, knowing who is delinquent, doing your 246 calls, doing your absent last sevens, and having everything in place. So I'm just going to quickly show you some things here that I think would be really important as far as having tools to execute on the things that Sensei Nick and I just spoke about for the 0 to 50 level. So first things first, he talked about having a basic web presence. Here's an example of a basic web presence. We did this website for our Muay Thai/MMA school, and as you can see, there's a lot of information here, but it's spanned out neatly. There's a video on the front page. It's obvious what programs they offer. There's a free trial offer right on the homepage, and that's pretty much all you need. I'll bring up your website if you don't mind, Sensei Nick.
No worries.
All right, here's another example, basic web presence. You don't need anything to be completely rocket science, but you do need it to have a marketing science behind it, and that's exactly what this site was built with. So as you can see, if you're in need of a website, you can definitely give us a call. We'd be more than happy to help you out. Next thing, have artwork ready to go. Okay, you cannot be spending time each and every day worrying about a graphic or worrying about getting an e-flyer or an invite together. So if you don't have access to artwork from a third party, the ChampionsWay Library supplies all of that. I just searched by birth inside our ads and was pleased to find 9 different birthday invites that you can have right there. Now, talking about the automation, Sensei Nick, you agree birthday parties are pretty much, if not number one of the top 3 sources of referrals from 0 to 50?
Absolutely, especially with the children's program. It is the #1 way to get students.
Okay, so if you are telling me you don't have time to promote your birthday parties, I might listen to you. I might also say you need to spend time on those things no matter what. But if you honestly don't have time to make those phone calls or to stay on top of that, you can use a system like this. This is the auto email system. What we do is we come in here and we say, all right, I am going to create a new list of people where their birthday is in 60 days. So if I just quickly type this in, birthday in 60 days, then down here, I find their birthday field. From this point forth, I will automate it, so this system will send a birthday email inviting the parents to celebrate the birthday party at the school 60 days exactly before the birthday is actually even going to occur. That way, we're getting to the parents before they've even thought about what they're going to do. And anytime you give a parent an opportunity to relieve themselves of some things they need to do, it's obviously going to have a much higher chance of them saying, yes, let's do it. Essentially, you're not only providing them with a great service and a convenience, but again, you're setting up yourself to have referrals in place. So this is a really critical part. Now, every other kind of auto email is also in this system. 246 follow-ups, people who are going to be, people who are delinquent, people whose credit card is expiring in the next 30 days. All of those kinds of automated emails can be provided through the system. Then another aspect, we talked about how your weekends aren't safe because you've got to be on top of your business and knowing where everything is at. That is pretty much going into the contact section of Perfect Mind and constantly looking at things like your attendance rating, who is your absent last 7. You've got to be on top of all of the student situations. If you don't know them by name, this is a great way to practice. Okay, one of the exercises I get my instructors with less than 50 students to do if they don't know everyone's name is get everyone to get their photo into the system. You can either get it off Facebook, you can have a webcam photo taken and just upload it into Perfect Mind. However you can, get the photos in there. Then what you do is challenge yourself. Get a piece of paper, bring this software up, and have the photos there. And cover the names with the piece of paper and challenge yourself to see how far down the list you can get remembering everyone's name. It's a lot better you practice in front of a screen, learning everyone's name and matching it up to their photo, than trying to practice in class. Nothing is worse than forgetting someone's name. There's some students that might absolutely idolize you, and then you call them the wrong name, even if it's by accident, and you catch yourself right away. They don't forget that. Think about things that happened in your childhood. You might be in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s or your 60s, and you still remember that today. All right, so keep that in mind. So I could go a little bit further into this, but I think I'll save some more of the automation points for the 50 to 150 part, Sensei, and I'll take it back to the PowerPoint now.
Thanks so much, John. That was great information.
Okay.
Okay, so the takeaway from 0 to 50, all right, getting the 0 to 50. If you can accept the truth and grind it out, you will not reach the next level, all right, but only blame yourself at level 1. All right, John, let's go to the next slide. So we talked about all that information, and we understand now that, in the beginning, we got to hold ourselves accountable, okay? That is the ultimately what we're talking about there. So 0 to 50, it's all on you, okay? You have to, like John said, lead by example, go through your growing pains, learn everything, the ins and outs of how the school runs, okay, and then, it's time, once you get to that 50-point range, now it's time for the next one, all right? Leadership will determine your income. So leadership, when you're getting to 50 students, and we're talking about some of the best leaders of all time here. Now, for those who don't know, in the top left-hand corner, that's Jack Welch. Jack Welch was the CEO of GE. Okay, right, he's an amazing author. Okay, he's got some amazing concepts and different ideas on how he turned that into one of the biggest companies ever. And then we have on the right-hand side of the top right, Bill Belichick. All right, everyone knows who he is. A famous coach of the New England Patriots. And it's interesting that him and Tony La Russa are very close friends. Tony La Russa, was the World Series coach this year for the world champion St. Louis Cardinals, who defeated the Philadelphia Phillies in the playoffs, which killed me. But anyway, and then obviously everyone knows at the bottom right-hand corner we have MJ. So these people all have one thing in common, okay? And what it is really simple. They make everybody else around them better, okay? So and that's when you start getting to this level here. You can't do everything yourself. You just can't. So once you get to like over 100 students, or you're at that the 50-student range, it's time to start working on your leadership skills. And you can go to any conference. You're going to go all over. You're going to go to seminars, webinars. No one's going to be talking about this stuff. They're always going to be talking about marketing, internet, this stuff, the social media. Okay, but this is right here is the key. That's why we're doing this webinar today. We're trying to show you guys the most important real things that are going to help you get to the next level. So if you haven't started reading any of the books by Jack Welch, start with reading Winning by Jack Welch. Greatest book I've ever, one of the best books I've ever read. Okay, and Bill Belichick, you can read his Patriot Reign, and Michael Jordan, Driven. Okay, so those would be 3 books I recommend right off the bat. Sorry, Tony, but I haven't read many of your books, but he's an amazing, just an amazing coach. Like they should have never won it this year. So let's go to the next slide. And this is something that I saw once probably about 10 years ago, and it's very interesting. I saw this on the back of a truck, and it was a bumper sticker that said "Readers are leaders." And at that time, and John will tell you this, I was reading books almost every month, like just finishing leadership books. And I probably got on John's nerves for a while because whenever I talked to him, I was like, yeah, but listen, the 70-20 rule tells you this, and this rule tells you that, and the leadership, the 360 leader, and I just kept reading and reading and reading, and it really helped me get my school to the next level. And a lot of instructors, they would get upset because some parents would be like, oh, is Sense&Nick teaching tonight? And when they would be asked that, they took offense to that, like, well, why are people asking me if Sense&Nick's teaching? And the reason why the parents were asking that is because everybody else was counting to 10 and saying go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, go, go, go. Okay. What I was doing was I was leading the school. I was leading the team. I was captivating the audience, the parents and teachers that were watching me teach. They were coming in. The parents were sitting there. I had those kids going through, like it was like getting ready for like the state championship football game. I got them fired up, way better than anybody else. And the reason why is because I was reading. Okay, I was reading motivational books, and I had this stuff on the tip of my tongue. And that's what you need to have if you want to get to the next level, and then go to the next level after that. So you have to have these quotes. You have to have different examples on the tip of your tongue every single second to motivate people. And one of the exercises I've done before that you could do is sometimes I would just use one word, and I would take that one word and I would just concentrate on that for the entire class, and that was the lesson. It's something as simple as that versus saying go and counting to 10. Counting to 10 and saying go is not going to be the thing that takes you to the next level. It's not going to be the thing that can get you members of the Black Book Club and upgraded programs and charge you more money. Okay, reading will. Okay, and be developing your leadership skills. Next slide. So the 50 to 150, here we are again. Now we're going to start first with the GNC. So what do you do for your marketing? Then we'll go into retention and automation. All right, so next slide, John. Yeah, keep going. There we go. So invest in your online presence. Okay, now when I'm talking about investing in online presence, I'm talking about 2 different things. So when you started at 0 to 50, you wanted to have an online presence. You want to have something simple and basic. Okay, now it's time to start investing on your online presence. And there's 2 different ways to invest. Okay, and it's very simple: time and money. So you're going to have to invest time, meaning that you're looking at the analytics. You're looking at what's going on. You're looking at your lead conversion rates. You need to start paying attention to those numbers. And then the second thing is you're not an internet marketer, and we've seen a lot of people do this in the past too. What happens is that's great if you want to do that, but if you want to do that, go into another business like I did. Okay, that's what you really got to understand. Like if you're going to do that, then go into another business. Close your school.
Send your
or keep it
resumes
open
to
as a hobby.
jon@championsway.com. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry.
I was saying send your resumes to jon@championsway.com. I'm always looking to hire ex-martial arts school owners.
Exactly. So make sure that you're investing your time and your money into your marketing online. All right, next slide.
Yes, sir. And one thing, Sensei, I think the term we had earlier was be a quote junkie when we were talking about reading and developing your leadership skills and always having at least 3 or 4 power quotes to throw out in class or when doing a motivational talk with one of your students, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, basically, one thing I heard that stuck with me, John, the whole time was, from a dead sleep, okay, a great instructor, if you were dead asleep, someone can come over and wake you up, and you should be able to spit out the benefits of martial arts in 10 quotes that can motivate people right from a dead sleep. And that just stuck with me forever. So if you're not talking about confidence, focus, quotes, all these things, throwing them out there, Jordan quotes, this guy quotes, you're really going to be a stagnant instructor, and you're not going to see people grow or see yourself grow. So the second thing when it comes to GNC is having a publishing schedule when it comes to your social media. One thing I have another webinar back-to-back with this one, and one thing I'm talking about now that some people are now having their website set up properly and we're doing a lot of marketing for them, a sample content strategy. So when it comes to a publishing schedule, people now that they have a presence and they're getting their fans and they're getting likes and they're getting followers, having a publishing schedule is crucial, and that's something you want to do. The biggest challenge, however, is that when you make a schedule for publishing the social media is that you're still not understanding the strategy. So that's one thing that we help you with. And the second key thing besides a publishing schedule is having killer content. So the killer content really comes down to being a killer speaker, a killer reader, and then teaching killer classes. All right, without that, you're not going to have great content. Like if you don't read, if you don't, educate yourself, if you're not, trying to make your classes better and better, you can't expect to have killer content. And so that's really important to understand. Anything, John, on that one?
No, sir, you nailed it all. I'll go to the next slide.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so one thing I made here was I called it Sensenix's 5 must-dos. Okay, sorry about the percentage point there, but it's just a 5 must-dos when it comes to we're talking about content. Blog or video blog 3 to 4 times per week for each target market. So for you guys, if we're going from 50 to 150, I will concentrate on 1 or 2 target markets. All right. So what I mean by that is if you're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or if you're doing cardio kickboxing, or if you're doing traditional taekwondo, whatever it is, 3 to 4 times per week, you should be blogging or video blogging for that particular target market. How it will benefit others is the message. Okay, not the 6-week special, not the ultimate 30-day trial. All right, no, that's not what I'm talking about. How it will benefit others. Okay, why will martial arts benefit children? Why will cardio kickboxing benefit women? How some testimonials, different things like that. So that is the message we're trying to put out. Produce kits, courses, and content to confirm the need of your service. So if your target market is, let's just say we're concentrating on preschool children, okay, if you can't produce kits, courses, and content, all right, for that particular target market, then you're really not going to see any type of return from your social media or any of your internet marketing strategies. You want to make sure that you're producing like videos of your classes, okay, and just different tips for parents that they're going to find based on the benefits, confidence, concentration on that target market. Community outreach stories, okay, you can be on the local news. So what I'm talking about here is, you want to make sure that you're getting involved in that as soon as possible. The community, if there's things in your area, okay, that are for, whether it's for someone that's sick of cancer, someone that's trying to do something for this Toys for Tots, something for the turkey drive, things like that, like you need to get that involved, get your brand out there, okay, and record what your school is doing to be involved with that. That's very critical, okay? People, like again, we're going back to the first thing we said, before people buy from you, they have to believe that you care. Highlight other business owners, okay? Like, it's simple, like, it's really simple, but a lot of people don't do it. If you're highlighting other people and talk about them, one thing John said that I told him that he always stuck in his mind, when I was broke and I had to get students and I was just starting out my school, I didn't walk into the pizza shop and say, hey, would you mind if I put some flyers here? Because I just knew they didn't really want them. So instead of that, I would, scrounge up $2 or $3 to get a drink and a piece of pizza, and I'd wear my shirt, my champion shirt, walk into the store, and then just say, "Wow, man, this pizza is unbelievable." And they'd be like, "Oh, thanks, man, I appreciate that." "Yeah, you make flyers?" They're like, "Oh, sure. What do you need flyers for?" "No, I want to give this to all my students. Like, I own Champions. It's a martial arts school. I've only been open for about 3 months, and we have birthday parties and stuff. And next thing you know, it's like that's it. So John knows because he came to New Jersey, and he knows that whenever I walk in a restaurant, everyone knows me. Hey Nick, yo Nick, whatever. And it's that's how it happens. So you have to highlight other business owners now on social media too. All right, next slide, John. So the huge secret, okay, that a lot of people just fail to start at this point, okay, is a list building secret. That was a good document I was able to find there. But now that you're at that point, if you don't have this part of your strategy, okay, then when it comes to growing your social media, which is comes a little bit later, it's just not going to be as effective because you have no one to reach. So you have to build email lists. So let's go to the next slide. So we broke this down into 2 categories, me and John. We had offline and online. So if you're trying to build an email lists, okay, offline, okay, one of the simplest ways is having your front desk just getting all of your members. Okay, the second way, which is a lot of people are doing, and if you're not, you want to make sure you're doing this as soon as possible, birthday parties. The easiest way to get email addresses. And I really don't understand why some people want to have birthday parties with 8 to 10 kids. If you don't have the space, I understand that's one thing, but if you do have the space, we allow up to 40 kids to come to our birthday parties, and we charge $249, $50 deposit that goes to the school. And everyone that comes into the birthday party must fill out a liability waiver with their email address on there, so we get their information. And that is one of the easiest ways to build email lists. Okay, is just by telling people, "Would you like to get our emails?" And then we put it on there. They leave it, and then from there we're able to market to them. Community events now with Perfect Mind, it's very simple in 30 seconds to make a form and just call it whatever the name of the event is outdoors. And instead of having the tablets like I had used for years and writing people's names down and stuff like that, pass them over a nice iPad, or even if you can't afford an iPad, everyone's got a cell phone. Throw up the form right on your mobile phone and just tell them to fill out the form. "Oh, you're interested in a free lesson? Here you go." And it goes right into Perfect Mind. You can't beat that, a way to get email addresses. In your classes, the instructor should be in classes always communicating every single day, all the time. Are you on Facebook? Are you on Twitter? Are you on my Facebook page? Are you on this page or on that page? So that's important. The parent area, okay, the parents that are watching, engaging with them and getting their email addresses. I already talked about the iPad and Perfect Mind. And then online, we have our website. Okay, one of my biggest opt-in forms is the starter package, which requires an email address. That gets me the most leads on my site. Facebook, okay, we have Facebook capture forms for people's email addresses as well. Okay, there's a form on there connected to Perfect Mind. Links, everything I'm doing, I'm linking back to getting people's information. If they want my bully prevention kit, if they want whatever type of content that's special, okay, they're going to have to provide an email address. Blogging, okay, whenever you're blogging, that's another critical time when you're having different events coming up, setting up a basic form that's connected to it to generate their emails as well. All right, if you're not sure about that, that's something that you should contact John about. He can give you more information about that. Mobile site as well. On your mobile site, having an opt-in email address. All of our mobile sites that we build have that. And then the thing that we're working on, macro sites, having other sites. Having one website now might not be enough anymore. We're going to talk about that later for the 150 plus schools. I'm sorry, students. Okay, next slide. Okay, so now after we've been talking about all these different marketing ideas, okay, part of it also becomes down to duplicating yourself. So you're now trying to get to the next level where you have to duplicate. So let's go to the next slide. And this is a test of your leadership. So if you could duplicate yourself, right, then you're a good leader. If you can't duplicate yourself, right, then there could be a combination of challenges of why you're unable to duplicate yourself. But if you can duplicate yourself, what you should duplicate at this level is the following. Okay, how you hustle to get leads and how you follow up with leads, how you use Perfect Mind for your leads, and everything you're doing for lead generation. That's obviously very important. You want to get your number one guy, number one person on top of that, okay, the way you do it and having them pass it off to them. That way you can focus on, the vision and the growth. And that's what you explain to them. If you could take care of this, I could take care of how to help you make more money. That's what you tell them. And that's what you do for them. The second thing would be birthday parties. Okay, I did birthday parties till I was like 24, right? And I did a lot of birthday parties. And then one of my instructors, Preston, he actually started doing birthday parties, and he got to the point where he did more birthday parties than me. In 1 year, he did 72 birthday parties. I don't know anybody else in the world. Yeah, that's a true number, John. And I don't know anybody that did more birthday parties than Preston. Taking info calls, that's important because you can't always answer the phone. So now it's time to start training your staff on how to take info calls. Fun nights, eventually you want to have your other instructors do the fun nights. That way you could have that little break with your wife or your girlfriend or whoever. All right, and then intro lessons, okay? I did every intro lesson for the first year and a half till I got to about 150 students, okay? And then I started passing off the intro lessons. But I did every single one because there's nothing worse than seeing someone that is really shouldn't be doing an intro lesson. Someone who's just severely overweight or someone that just really just does not make someone think that the martial arts is something they should be doing. So I love doing intro lessons. I started doing intro lessons. That's how I started doing intro lessons. So next slide, please. So that is what you want to do is first when it comes to duplication. So let's go on to retention. Next slide. So the keys for this is that you're now getting your classes pretty big. All right. So now you're beyond that point where it's kind of 5 or 6 kids in a class. Your classes start to multiply, and now you're at that point. Okay. So what do we do? Next slide. We break this down into really simple. Okay. We break it into small groups, and this is the biggest mistake that I've seen from people, and I still see it today in my schools. The one instructor goes on the computer and goes on Facebook and does nothing, while the one guy is teaching 3 different belt groups. And I say it over and over again. Now I'm in a different situation. Okay, I'm on a different level as far as the levels we're talking about. So then it becomes the point where now here I am. I'm managing people where I'm never even there. Okay, so that is one of the hardest things to do because now they know well, you're not here. How do you know? Okay, well I know because every time I walk in to teach the one class that I teach, that you're not in the class. Okay, and you're having juniors teach. Okay, and that's not good. So breaking up into small groups, you only teach martial arts 4 hours a night, guys. Okay, let's just say that again. You teach martial arts 4 hours a night. Okay, so if you can't teach during those 4 hours, if you'd rather be on Facebook or doing things, you're missing the point. Stay on the mat. Stay on the mat. Be out in the area. Do not be in the office. That's why I don't even like offices. Okay, we don't have offices where you sit down and sign contracts. All right, we send them up right at the counter. Okay, we have a really small office, but I don't like offices because people go in there and they really don't work. Okay, so I like to have everyone out on the floor. That's where they need to be. It's a martial arts school. And besides the paper...
Sorry, Sensei, to interject. Just so we can throw out maybe a standard there, what would you say would be a good instructor-to-student ratio so that way when people are looking at their class and determining, is this class getting to the point where I should break it up into a smaller group, what do you think is the tipping point for one instructor to be at a point where they're not necessarily overwhelmed, but they can't give that individual, personal, rock star service?
Realistically, you're looking at 10 to 1. I mean, people could say like 5 to 1 and 6 to 1. That'd be perfect, right? But that's just never going to happen. I mean, you really can't do it that way. So I mean, most of the time, the most you want to try to keep is like 10 students per one instructor. But
another way to look at that would be the amount of money that's being paid each month. I used to say $1,500 to one instructor. So if you're charging $150 a month, 10 students. If you're charging $100 a month, 15 students. If you're charging $200 a month, you want to keep that down to 7. So also think about in terms of revenue. Shall we go to the next slide, Sensei?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so creating the next level membership, okay, when it comes to retention, this is critical, okay, because this is what's going to keep your students. And having one program, there's no excitement. I mean, just having the same class over and over again, all right, people start to get bored, all right, so you have to have that upper level echelon because eventually you're going to be that person teaching that highest level program. So you start with having a demo team or a fight team and then having a leadership team or some kind of mastery team, mastery club, something like that. But the reason why it helps with retention is because they need something different. There has to be something special. There's got to be something more that you're doing for people. There's always an upgrade in most of the martial arts schools that you see, and that develops a lot more teamwork because then it's like more of a team, and then there's camaraderie. People stick with it longer, and everybody aspires to become a member of that team. The most important thing to remember is that to make sure that they participate in martial arts. If you have a BLAPA club, fight team, whatever, okay, and they're not participating in some type of advanced training where they demonstrate, I think you're really doing a disjustice to get a higher level program. right? You want to demonstrate, even if just having them demonstrate techniques or fighting or jiu-jitsu, whatever it is, okay? But you want to have them demonstrate because they're always trying to, they're also recruiters for you. So it helps with retention because people are less likely to quit, all right? And then at the same time, they become recruiters for the lower level students to aspire to be. Next slide. Okay, so the takeaway is duplicate and replicate and continue to grow. That's from from 50 to 150. Okay, duplicate and replicate yourself, and you will continue to grow.
So true. Okay,
all right, John,
automation.
So, yes, this is you.
Awesome, man. So just so I understand, Sensei, what was your vision for this slide right here?
Well, I was trying to explain to them they need to eliminate the tedious paperwork. They see that guy's all of the stuff's piling up there on the left-hand side, and now you're starting to get a lot busier. So we have to automate certain things. And if you go to the next slide, John. So now we're starting to delegate, passing that torch to other people of our team. And one more slide from there.
These are the things we're delegating and managing. So it's a situation where you let them shadow you up to 10 times. After they've shadowed you 10 times on these particular types of activities, you are now going to delegate and manage. And manage doesn't mean you turn and look the other way. Manage means you check in at least twice a week and review the performance of how these things are going. Sensei, is this the part where I take over for a little?
Yes, sir.
All right, fantastic. So I'm going to bring the product over for a little bit and talk about automating and using a system to manage these things. So when we talk about delegating and managing, you have to provide your staff with the tools and the strategy to execute those things, and then you need a system that lets you manage it, meaning see what's going on. So right here, again, is our contacts list in Perfect Mind. You can build a list for each one of the activities that needs to be performed, whether it's delinquent calls, whether it's people expiring in 30 days, renewal calls, welcome calls, booking birthday parties. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but I got to drive that home. Some instructors go as far as to number the lists based on the priority of when they would like their staff to check them. They actually build like a daily duty list based on the number beside each one of the views there. So for example, I might say, make sure you call the birthday in 30 days first, whatever the case may be. So that's one aspect of it. Now, another thing on top of that, I like to ask the question to instructors, you are a sensei, you are a shihan, you're a master, you're a sifu, you're a shidoshi, whatever your title is, professor, that's great. But my question to you is, do you have any problem serving your students? Do your staff have any problem serving your students? In some cases, we got to remember, we're not just instructors, we're also customer service representatives in our school, and it's our job to serve our students. If someone asks for salad with dressing on the side, isn't it powerful when the waiter remembers that and comes over and says, hey, did that salad come out with the dressing on the side? Okay, good, you got it just how you liked it. That makes that particular table feel special amongst all the other tables in the room. See what I'm saying? I'm talking about a whole bunch of students on your class, on your mat, in your class, and one of them is injured. One of them has a sore shoulder. One of them has maybe asthma, whatever the case may be. You take a report like this, and you run it before every class, and it shows you who on your mat needs special attention. And this is your staff's opportunity to duplicate the level of charisma and personal service that you provided the students. Sometimes it's not about your ability. Sometimes it's not your power to motivate that is what they miss. It could just be the fact that you cared more than the instructor you delegated. So here you can see in the medical conditions box, it would list anyone that has a medical condition or a concern that's currently on the mat, and then you just make sure you go and check them out. You can go into the contact section. If you don't know who that person is and it's your first time teaching them, you can see their photo and you're good to go. So that's something I really wanted to stress as far as delegating and managing some of the items that you need to delegate and manage as you're growing. Now beyond that, your staff will also need to manage and review the auto emails. So in the auto emails portion of the section here, I'm just going to bring this up for you. You have your email system, and you have a section called Scheduled. And when you click on Scheduled, it shows all the emails that are going out when criteria is to be met. Now, in my example, I don't have a lot here, but if you're running it properly, you'll have your birthday emails, your delinquent emails, your welcome to the school emails, haven't seen you in 7 days emails. You'll have a list of all these emails that should be going out in an automated fashion based on what I call critical communication points, all right? So they review all the CCPs, and inside of there, you check and see, are these emails being opened? If the answer is no, then you know you need to revise the subjects in the email as well as the content in the email to boost a higher open rate and help complement the phone calls that everybody should be making. So keep on top of that. Also, we want to have reports on our staff's performance as far as what are they doing. So in here I've got a staff performance folder, and I can see how many activities are done by staff, how many appointments are being booked by staff, and how many sales are being made by staff. Again, if you're going to delegate something, you better manage it, and you better be watching what the performance is like on at least a daily or 3 times a week type of basis, all right? At least every shift or every 2 shifts one of your staff members works for you, audit their performance and what they did. If you want, you can take a shortcut and ask them to send you a daily report, which we're going to talk about in the next section. But one way or another, you need to be aware of these things, and they have to be visible. Nothing's more powerful than calling the school and asking people what they've done for the day and then cross-referencing that against a report before you have a talk with them. Now, we also talked about delegating paperwork and getting things done quicker and eliminating admin tasks. Here is a place where you can sign students up with one click. You pick the membership, for example, 1-year membership. You say add to cart, and you go and you check the person out. Now, Sensei Nick mentioned it's important to keep your email address always up to, your email list always up to date and build your list. As I complete this transaction, and just to keep things quick, I'll sell this membership by cash. Check this out. When I complete the transaction, it'll ask me if I want to print the receipt or if I want to send the receipt. And what's so powerful about this is that if you don't have their email on file, it'll ask you to put the email in, and then it updates it on the fly. So that way, as you're selling pro shop items or memberships, you're not only keeping your bookkeeping up to date, your inventory up to date, your sales reports up to date, but you're also keeping your list development up to date. So that's a huge thing. Now, one other aspect that we talked about in the GNC, all right, was now you're going to be marketing on several different online places as well as in community places. And if you have time and money to market, you have to have a measurement in place for everything that's happening. So you go into your reports, you run your marketing report, and check out your campaign report, performance for the entire year. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Here, it couldn't be more simple. I look at the pie chart. The biggest part of the pie is what's bringing in the most leads for me. The smallest part is what I either have to refine and work on, or I simply cut it. I tell school owners all the time, think of yourself as a coach and your marketing campaigns as players on your team. Each month you review the performance and determine who's getting cut from the team and who should be part of your starting 5 or your starting 11. So think of it like that and constantly review those things. Then one other aspect is your staff that you delegate the retention to always have to be on top of student communication. So what they should be doing is they should be going to your contact section, and they should be calling all of your C students on a regular basis. They go to the attendance rating list, they call the C students, but more importantly, each time we make these phone calls, we leave a note on the file. As you have more people communicating with your students, it is critical that you take notes every time you interact with people, so that way if someone else talks to them, they know what is the latest situation. So you go into the student's profile, you click New Activity, the category is Notes, status is completed, and you type in whatever it was that transpired. That way you know what's going on with each and every student. It's one thing to know their name, it's a whole other level to be able to understand what their situation is and speak educated about that. So keep in mind, sales reports, activity reports, entering in all of your memberships in an automated system that will build them without any effort, and then, of course, measure your marketing campaigns and everything under that. Pardon me. So I'm going to go back to the slide here, and let's talk about 150 plus. Sensei, are you set?
Yes, sir.
Okay, one moment. All right, we went through all of this already. Fantastic. All right, 150 plus. Take it away, Sensei.
Let's do it. Okay, so you are now a leader, all right? And what we're talking about here is, it's up to you now. Now, the more you can lead, the more, you will grow. So, one second, John, if we can just get back to there. Thank you.
Sorry, sir.
All right, so that's okay. So, what I'm talking about here is, no one really cares. Like I said, you have to make sure that you understand, that you're ultimately, if you're able to duplicate yourself, okay, if you're able to be patient and these things, you'll be fine. Okay, so let's go to the next point. Okay, and up at the top there we have Jay-Z, the bottom left-hand corner Beyonce, and the bottom right we have Kanye West. And if you notice, Jay-Z now, is one of the biggest hip-hop artists of all time, and he's giving things over now to Kanye. He's helping other people grow. Just to give you a different different sense, okay? Someone who's a billionaire and what he's doing, okay? So real important to look at that and say to yourself, because this is the next level we're talking about here. When you get to 150 students, you're going to be starting to get to 300. It just starts happening a lot quicker because the numbers just get better, and you have more people coming in your doors. So one thing I noticed when I was at 200 students, 300 students, all of a sudden the stress started becoming, whoa, what am I going to do about Jim? What am I going to do about Preston? Like, oh my, and then they would start coming, the talks before, which were like, I need more money, I need more money, I need more money. Okay, now they started becoming, hey, Nick, I was wondering if I could take you to lunch. Okay, and then we would go to lunch, and then it's like, I'm just wondering, like, where do you see my future? And I remember I was only open for about 2 years that I was starting to get those questions, and that's when I started realizing to myself, I'm like, okay, I better start figuring out what our plan is here. So everyone looked at me as far as, what are we going to do? How are we going to help them? And, one thing I went through, which was, we were part of an association. I really thought that was the way to go. And then as I started looking at it down the road, I really didn't believe in it at all. And my guys, I had to eventually tell them that, listen, guys, like, I'm not sure what you guys want to do. And I know, some of us, you want to work with me, but guess what? If you want to stay with this association, that's great. But I'm deciding to move on. And it was interesting. Obviously, everyone stayed with me, but that was a tough decision because they saw what I went through, and that's one thing that's really important for bigger associations and groups. Like when you start taking advantage of people and not really trying to help them and always just worrying about yourself, the other people beneath them see that. So that's a great lesson for anyone that's part of whether it's a bigger group, or you're trying to open a franchise, or you're opening licensing programs, whatever it is. You want to make sure that you're always taking care of people, because I was, it was always like, oh yeah, well, nothing was ever done at my school. It was never, we were never involved in certain things. So that was very interesting. And and then when I was the first one to build my own school, same thing. No one ever, no help whatsoever. But I financed $500,000 myself. And did all the work and became a contractor and did it all, and I don't know how I did it, but I did. So that was really important, okay? And, so you want to make sure at this level here, okay, what is in it for the rest of your staff? Okay, how are you going to help them grow? That ultimately will determine how more successful you become. So, that's it. I have one of my instructors in the school, okay? He's in my school now. He owns that school. He's my partner, okay? That was his goal. Then I have another partner in my school, and he's a partner with me. So I have two guys that now run both of my schools for me, and they're doing okay. Could they be doing better? Yes, but they're trying, and I'm continually coaching them, and it's pretty fun. I'm actually enjoying it a lot this year. It was very tough the first year, but so that's let's go to the next slide, John. Sorry, I get really passionate about this, but the question is, what's in it for everyone else? Okay, that's what you got to ask yourself at this point. This is the takeaway. What's in it for everybody else? Okay, next slide. So why will they follow you? So they're going to follow you for two main reasons, okay? And it's your job every single day that you walk into the school of explaining to them the vision of where this is going. Okay, where is this going? Are we opening multiple locations? Are you eventually going to open a school? What is the plan? If you don't have a plan, I'm telling you right now, expect that knock or that phone call or that text message, and this is what it's going to say. Hey, just wondering if we could sit down and talk. I was wondering if you got a minute.
The worst.
Right?
That's like when the Amway person comes up and says, I have a business opportunity. Would you like to talk about it?
Exactly. And that's what's going to happen, John, and we've seen it. Me and John have talked to so many school owners that lose their top guys, whatever, and this is usually the reason why. That vision has not been shown to them. Okay, they have to be able to feel that vision, okay, and see that vision, okay, or eventually they're going to quit. And then the second thing is opportunity. What is the opportunity for them? Okay, well, like what's in it for them? Okay, so if you have 500 students and the guy's making the same amount of money, okay, well, what is their opportunity? If they don't eventually feel some type of opportunity, they will leave. Okay, they will look for another opportunity, and they will get another opportunity. Everybody's replaceable, but there's always opportunities for everybody in the world. So what's in it for them? Next slide. So succession planning, you're trying to get this organized and starting asking yourself, well, what do I do for them? Well, a front desk person that's making like $9, $10, $12 an hour, eventually their goal should be to be an office manager. Okay, they're not going to become a partner. They're not going to become, have equitable shares. Maybe some schools run their schools that way, but if they can't teach and they can't run classes, I don't see how that would ever happen. But let's just say the front desk person, eventually they might be able to become an office manager. An instructor, the succession plan for them is to become a head instructor and then to become some type of a partner in the second school or a partner in that school. That's eventually what they need to do, or they're going to open their own school. And then they're going to open the school right down the street from you. That will happen.
Always.
Okay? Always, with or without non-competes as well. Okay? It will happen. I probably say, John, what do you think? Once a month you hear a story like that?
Yep, actually, one of my, I can't mention his name, but one of my favorite instructors over in the UK ran 6 locations extremely successfully. This is just hear how this worked out for him. He had a situation where someone very close to him passed away, and simply because he needed a few months to pay attention to his personal life and take care of his family, one of those instructors that hadn't had, what's in it for them communicated to him, went and took 2 of those schools and moved them to 2 new locations. So now instead of having 6 schools strong, he's got 4 and 2 that are now competing with him. You can see how this is going to play out. So I'm not trying to freak anyone out, but I just want to stress the importance that these people need to know that you are interested in designing their dream as well. If you don't, it's just a matter of time before they read something online or someone gets in their head and says, hey, well, what has that guy really done for you? Like, if he ever sold a school, like, would he break you off? You need to think about what kind of responses they'll have to those conversations. And if they're not positive ones, what are you doing to make them feel like you are helping them design their dream and their vision for a better life? Shall we go to the next slide, sir?
Yes, sir. And then, we were fortunate enough to have the man with the best that I know in the world with pay structures, okay, and they must be performance-based nowadays, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give a couple examples, Sensei. So performance-based pay structures, I'm not talking about putting people always on 100% commission. I do believe in 100% commission for certain kinds of individuals who are motivated by money. But in all cases, here's a couple examples of how you can implement performance pay at any position. Your front desk person, you want to pay them based on how many appointments that they book and have show up, and you want to pay them based on how many pro shop sales that they can make. Reason being is they're usually around the front desk area, so to motivate them to push product to people who are coming, to sell seminar tickets, summer camp tickets, parents' night outs, all that stuff. Just give them an opportunity to make a little bit of money off each one of those sales. And again, you need a system to be able to measure how many sales they're making under their username and password, so that way you can pay them what is effectively, what they've developed for themselves. Beyond that, if you're now paying instructors based on performance, there's 2 things you can look at. Retention, so how many A, B, and C students, and you can create a commission for A students and B students and a negative commission for C and non-active. That way they understand each student that comes to class on a regular basis is worth more than just another person on the mat to them. It's worth more in their pocket too. Then beyond the instructors, you've got your program director, and that's all about sales and retention. The easiest way is to give them a percentage of your profit, but if you're not ready to make someone into a partner pay plan like that, you can do things like commission structures on sales. We've got a lot of webinars on that you can check out. It's definitely a full other hour, or you can send me an email or follow me on any of these social links and we'll break it down. But you definitely need to have performance-based pay structures at 150 plus students, because if you don't, you're constantly managing people who are not operating as if they are running the business or owning the business. And if you're not there all the time and you're trying to focus on new endeavors for the school, you're going to have people there that are going to eventually become what I call non-revenue producing employees, the most poisonous thing you can have in your business, because once they get comfortable and not producing revenue for the school, it's very difficult to change that culture and get them to understand that their purpose in the school is really only one thing, which is to increase the bottom line, so that way you can help them increase their lifestyle. So we could talk about that for years, but today we got to move on to the next one.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so let's go over the GNC for 50. I'm sorry, of 150 and up. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so internet marketing to the next level, and we've been doing this. There's several of you guys in the webinar are now really starting to maximize on your social media, your website, everything. We're going there, okay? And in 2012, the next thing we're going to start noticing is, why do you only have one website? Like there's so many more opportunities to generate more leads, and if you can't manage one, then that's the reason why it was so important. You'll see some of the stuff I have coming out in January from my school, and I can tell you, you guys are going to want to jump on it. You're going to want to create a similar model. But the people that we've been working with Social Site and all the campaigns and everything, it's really hard to sometimes explain exactly what we're doing, especially when you're just getting started. A lot of people can't understand. A lot of people will talk about ROI or what they're investing and stuff like that. But you really have to think long term, and you got to think more into the future. If you're not getting everything organized and everything's in one place, and you really don't know what's going on, okay, then you really got to make sure you're putting most of your effort in this, because everyone will be finding you online. And the biggest key to that, I think, when we talk about social media, yesterday I was actually at a doctor's office. We work with several businesses, not just martial arts schools, and they were talking about Facebook, and they were talking about content. And I sat there for about a half hour, just trying to be respectful, because they really had no idea what they were talking about. And most of us in this room, even right now, don't understand really what it means to produce content and how to really take that content. And that's okay, because I believe 2012 is going to be the year that you do understand and that you do get educated through ChampionsWay on exactly what I'm talking about. Because content and just getting leads through social media, you can't force it. You can't make it happen. You have to understand that you will have to be involved with it. There's no other way to do it. Okay, so it's a slow progression, but it starts with having your website set up properly, having your website as the center hub. If you don't have that set up properly, you're really going to be just in a mess eventually down the road. And then you'll start noticing your competitors, because if they're not working with us, they're probably working with someone else, and that's the way it is. And it's going to become more and more competitive online. But ultimately, I'm telling you, the content and the passion of your classes put into social media is going to be the difference maker, okay? The gimmicks and the other things are great, okay, and they might work and get you leads and lists, but it really will come down to your passion and what really matters, which is giving your students the best results and being a great martial arts instructor. The second thing would be investing in SEO, SMO, or PPC, one of those three, okay, or all of them. Program-specific landing pages, a lot of us are starting to do that now with a lot of our social media clients. And eventually some of you guys might be doing that as well. Link strategy, okay, I really love links. I haven't had as much time because we've been bombarded for the past, about 4 months with just so many new clients. But you'll see a lot of things that I'm doing in the new year with all different types of links. And you want to be doing the same thing. Like everything, remember, the most clicked thing on the internet is links. They're all over the place. And if you can't manage that one website with 6 or 7 links, okay, you're not going to be able to manage when you eventually have 40 or 50, okay, 60, 70, which is where I'm going this year. And so you have to start, you can't handle it. There's no way you could start off from the beginning and start managing 85 links going on at once. It'll be a total disaster for you. Content strategy, like I talked about. I'm getting ready for an SMO webinar right after this, that I'm actually a little bit late for, but that's okay, because I'll be recording.
Yeah, you're going to be a little bit late. We're going to have to jump in and apologize after.
Absolutely, John. That'd be great. And then, finally, I'll move a little faster here. Social media domination. Okay, that's going to be involving your content strategy, your website, other websites, list building, everything all connected into one. And it just doesn't happen overnight. So the people that are patient and that fight through it will be in a really good position. 40 leads per month online. Okay, that's what my school generates now. Okay, and I'm not in it. So that's what you got to think about. Okay, you can get to that point. All right, now I have 1,800 fans on my fan page. I have 9,000 email addresses. I have a combination of a lot of things going on. I have landing pages everywhere. So that's what it took for us to do that. And again, like I said, once I could show you more of these content strategies, okay, and then you know what? Since I'm here, I might as well just show this to people that are probably waiting for the SMO meeting anyway. The one thing what I was talking about, I'm just taking this, John, this is what I'm talking about in my SMO meeting today. A sample content strategy. I took the strategy, or this actual topic, 5 ways martial arts builds confidence. Okay, so confidence building for martial arts. We could flip that, change that 60 different ways, okay? So whatever it is, but we know that martial arts and confidence, okay, or confidence is one of the main reasons that children or parents look for their children to get involved in martial arts. So when people talk about content for building confidence through martial arts, this is what I was showing my clients today, or our clients today, John. Number one, a video in front of a whiteboard as an instructor explaining the benefits of confidence, okay, and talking about how martial arts will build confidence. What I would do, and what I'll be doing, is I'll be explaining, talking about the belt system, talking about, when the children do not get a stripe, and you teach them that they're not going to get things handed to them, all right, all these different scenarios that we all know, putting them on a whiteboard and just producing that and putting it up with some text and then a link to a free trial program. A video in a class where you're talking about confidence, about maybe a 1 minute, 30-second clip. A video with a parent talking about how their child gained confidence. A video from a student who had such amazing confidence increases since they started training your school. A video using drills that show how you gain confidence. Okay, a video from belt graduation at the end of it where you talk about confidence. A video from a parent of a child, okay, that has seen their child gain so much confidence. A free kit on the homepage of your website that talks about, a free confidence kit. A free course on your website or confidence building for parents that can go through it with their children. And here's the articles. I'm sorry, one more. Video on the seminar that you teach. We're doing a seminar this month on the 5 ways to build confidence, where we're going to break up that seminar into about 9 or 10 different videos and have that all over YouTube. Articles would talk about articles from your black belts. So having a black belt essay contest for your leadership or black belt club or your entire school, talking about how the children have gained, how they've gained more confidence through training through the martial arts. So if you get 30 or 40, 50 essays and you take that content and you put it into blogs and you have them uploaded onto your lounge, we're talking about mass content about confidence. So I'm just giving you 10 whatever different examples. This is a content strategy. If you take something like this, and when people go to Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever, okay, and they look up confidence through martial arts, that's why you'll be found #1, okay, not because you're using pay-per-click, all right? And we know that pay-per-click, only 88% of people don't even click them. So this real content and passion from your heart distributed into social media, that's what you're going to need to be doing in the next couple of years if you really hope to get a social media presence.
So true.
Okay. So there we were back to that same community picture, John. I really didn't like it, but it looks like it
it gets the point across, not a problem.
Exactly. So becoming a subject matter, okay, and becoming an expert subject matter in 3 main topics, okay, for martial arts are crucial. Bullying, okay, kidnapping prevention, all right, and then we have ADD and attention deficit disorder, focus, whatever you want to say. Okay, so if you just take those 3 subjects, all right, and become an expert or someone that can help people with those challenges, okay, you will absolutely be able to see your social media go through the roof, because you have to take it and you have to translate it and put it into writing and put it into videos and let it be found online. And then you start getting booked to speak everywhere, to talk everywhere. Every different school wants you. You're teaching everywhere, and that's what happens. That's how I did it. That's how I got started. Okay, next slide. Okay, then you get booked as a guest speaker, all right? And then this is, me and John were talking about this last night, John. This was the best picture I could find for that.
It makes perfect sense.
Why don't you explain that, John, what we mean by that?
All right, well, hey, when I went to Jersey and visited Sensei Nick, I saw something that was extremely similar to my brother Blake and to my my instructor, Master Fareed, which was he was that guy. And what I mean by that guy is everywhere he went, he wasn't known as Nick, he was known as Sensei Nick. He's that guy. So when people are in the community and they see you, do they know you as that martial arts guy or that martial arts girl? Are you known more by your school than yourself? If you are, that is the definition of success for this point. We want you to be known as the everything martial arts person in your community. You just got to have that local celebrity status specific to what it is your business is doing.
Perfect, John. That was awesome. And that's really important. So you want to be that guy, that woman, that person. but we always thought it was as that guy. But no disrespect to any of the females out there as well.
Definitely
so
not.
Move on. Absolutely. So responsibility of your staff. Okay, so if you're becoming that guy, that person, that woman, all right, the responsibility of your staff is to become the people that are now teaching in the outreach programs, the summer camps, the daycares, the school talks, the daycare centers. Okay, the little workshops, little groups, little small things. All right, and that's how they get started. And that's how you explain to them that this is how you started, okay? Because I started teaching at daycare centers where everyone, there was kids crying, there's colds, kids were coughing, and no one's even listening to me, and I'm talking about focus. I did that. I didn't start off just by going into, becoming a keynote speaker for a high school, okay? It took time. So, this is perfect for you to delegate this to your staff and let them get it started with the outreach programs, teaching the summer camps in the 90-degree weather outside. Like I've seen it. We've done that with our staff, and that's how they made it. Next slide. Okay, so let's talk about retention from 50 to 150. And next slide, John. So the keys: makeup lessons, upgrades are built in, and assistant instructor programs. Now, when I'm talking about makeup lessons, when you start having this, you're over 150 students, you're going to have different levels, different instructors per belt level. So if I'm responsible for the white belts, if John's responsible for the yellow belts, and let's just say Vahid is responsible for the orange belts, it is my job as the white belt instructor for anybody who's not attended classes to make sure that if they missed it, I have to do a makeup lesson with them. I'm responsible for them. That will increase your retention when you have different instructors responsible for different belt groups. Okay, that is the way I brought my school to 650 members. Okay, that is how I did it. And it's a lot harder now. Okay, it's a lot harder now. But if you can break up and hold your instructors accountable for each belt level, that is how you will do it. Upgrades built in. What we're talking about is having automated processes in our school where, once they get to a certain level, we are trying to get them onto like an upgrade program. So usually what we did was when someone was a yellow belt, that instructor had to be a great salesperson, a great motivator, a great person that was interested in making some extra money. Because at the yellow belt levels where we would try to upgrade them, because that's when they need their sparring gear because they're going to orange belt. So that level right there, that main point when they're a yellow belt is trying to get them upgraded to a higher level program. It's the same one for everybody, okay, that same particular group. And you could break that down for your school. Assistant instructor programs, the reason why that becomes so critical at that point is because now you're starting to grow. And your students that were 7 or 10 when they started are now 12 and 13. 12 and 13-year-olds, they start getting a little bit older. Maybe they're 14, 15, 16. They start thinking, do I really want to go to karate every night? Do I really want to do martial arts? Now it's getting more popular with mixed martial arts, but the traditional karate schools, they start losing some of that age group. Next slide, John. All right, so having an accountability system, okay, involves three main things that John talked about. One was already for the other group, pay on performance. All right, when someone comes to you and asks you for a raise, okay, your line is simple. Absolutely. If you want to make more money, no problem. We just have to figure out, based on how the school makes more money, how you'll make more money. Well, what do you mean? I just need a raise. Right, absolutely. We definitely want to give you a raise. So as long as we make more money, you can make more money. We pay on performance. Everyone gets paid on performance nowadays, okay, everywhere. So anyone that tells you they're not, tell them that, basically even teachers are going to start getting paid on performance in the near future. All right, so that's very interesting, but make sure you tell your staff and from the level before that in order for them to make more money, the school must generate more money. Okay, that's how they get paid more money. Not enabling staff, this becomes really important. When I've done this before in the past, John's seen it, and when you enable staff and you give them things without them working for it, it will just be a disaster down the road. Okay, like just if they don't earn it, if they don't deserve it, okay, and if they just ask for money and they're just asking for different things. They will take complete advantage of you because you're teaching them that it's okay, that if they can't afford something, you do it for them. So you have to make sure that people do not enable your staff. Okay, weekly meetings and monthly training, really important. Next slide. Sorry, trying to wrap this up, John, because I think I have 30 guys waiting in another room too. All right, so John, this is all you. Eliminating the administration work.
Fantastic, and I'm just going to make sure I got all these slides. Okay, great. So let's wrap this up now, eliminating the admin work. And basically what we're talking about is leveraging the productivity of each one of your staff members, which is a combination of giving them ways to do everything faster, as well as a way for you to be on top of what it is they're doing to ensure as they get more productive, they're being productive on the correct things. So let's talk about that first. All staff should have daily duties, job descriptions, and an idea of what success looks like on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and every day of the year. In our library, we provide daily duties. We provide what kind of reports that they should be sending you on a daily basis, and essentially an overall guide on what are the responsibilities per person in your school. Every school's got a different group of staff. Some people are kind of a front desk person and an instructor, or kind of a front desk person and a salesperson. It doesn't matter what the combination of skill sets are. You can take things from this library on building your team and figure out what are the daily duties per person. That way you know how to hold them accountable. If you don't have an idea of what it is that they should be doing, if you don't have a job description, it's extremely hard to measure if they're performing well or not. So make sure you have that in place. We said this many times before, and obviously being a software company, we're going to recommend that you have an all-in-one management solution that will drive all of these processes. And another thing that's incredibly important is to have a bookkeeping system in place. So right here we have our Perfect Book system. It's going to automate all of your bookkeeping. It's going to help you understand where your expenses are, where your income's coming from, and allow you to be ahead of the taxes rather than behind on the taxes. So make sure you utilize a tool similar to that. I've got nothing against QuickBooks other than the fact you have to export data and import data into it, which can sometimes take more time than you actually end up saving. Now, I'm not going to show you landing page examples, but Sensei Nick talked about having a website for just about every program that you offer and upgrading your online presence. You can do all that, but you have to have strong bridges. If you want to have traffic going to your website, you can't have a weak bridge that can't hold that traffic. And by bridge, we mean landing page, a single page with the purpose of taking curiosity and creating it into action. Another way of saying it, taking a web visitor and turning them into a name, phone number, and email address that you can follow up on. So definitely you need landing pages to accompany all of your online websites, blogs, social networks, and so forth. Now, we also talked about promoting events and you know, passing that on to your staff. You're out there getting booked as a speaker and doing community outreach programs on a whole other level. Meanwhile, your staff has got to keep up with the summer camps, all the additional special events that you would like to throw, and it's their job to make sure that those things are packed. Well, give them a system that'll let them do that. What you're looking at right now is our Perfect Mind calendar system, which has recently been upgraded to provide a lot of the same features that Facebook offers. I heavily recommend you use Facebook to promote events, but in addition to that, if you've got a decent email base and not a huge Facebook page yet, you can load all those emails into the system. You can drag a group of students into a special event. For example, I'm just calling this my special seminar. And check this out. At the bottom here, really important that you take a look at this. We have a new feature called Send RSVP Request. What this does is gives you an idea of how many people are actually reacting to your digital promotion, and then from there you can notify all the booked attendees a certain amount of hours before the event, so that way it's doing the reminders for you. Now, if you come into your event, you know, let's say 2 weeks out, and your RSVP status looks like what I've got on the screen here, no response yet down the line, you know your staff need to pick up the phone, and it's your job to encourage them to start doing that stuff. Beyond that, one thing I thought we were going to mention here, but I'm just going to quickly cover it, is at the 150-plus level, you have to be doing 2 referral drives a year. 2 types of referral contests per year should be in place. And if you've got a poster that you put people's names and you kind of have like a leaderboard, that's great. Having a physical poster is awesome. One step up is having a place everyone can log in and see what's going on. One system we've developed in Perfect Mind is the cash reward system. And here you can see we have referral rewards. Now, I don't recommend you give people money, like actual cash in hand, or you take discounts on their monthly membership dues, but I do recommend that you give them credits they can spend on special events as well as Pro Shop, mainly Pro Shop, because your markup also helps you save money. If I give someone $100 in credits or cash rewards and they use it on the Pro Shop, technically I'm only out of pocket maybe $45 or $50, and all that equipment they have now can be used towards motivating them to train more often, increasing their retention. And the only way they got those rewards in the first place was by creating more revenue for me by bringing additional students. The system also keeps the reporting in line for you, so you can see who is earning credits and referral credits from doing these things, who is redeeming them. It's just like using Groupon, but we've built it for you to use. Really fantastic system that way, and I heavily recommend you use it. One last thing is, on the student retention level, when you get to this level, it is so critical that people are moving through your ranks in a systematic process. They should be coming to class on a regular basis, and when they are, it shouldn't be a mystery to them approximately when they'll be testing. I know the old saying goes, if a student asks a sensei when they're testing, they're not motivated, and they shouldn't be asking those kinds of questions. But it's 2012 now, and it's North America. It's important that you know who is going to be testing when, so you can start to motivate them ahead of time, 1 month early. Hey, Johnny, you're about a month away from testing for your next belt. Just wanted to let you know. So what we've done is we've built a system here that has the students by their rank promotion readiness. You can break them by almost ready, not ready, and ready. And the way the system works is it analyzes how often they're coming to class and how many classes they've been to at that rank, and assigns automatically what status they are based on your requirements for that belt rank. Then from there you just audit who's on the almost ready or the ready list, and you determine if he or she is ready to test. At that time you can inform them that they'll be testing. So I can't stress how important it is to delegate to your staff duties, have reports that they can actually send you on a regular basis that are formulated the way that you can see what are the key performance indicators and discuss those with them on a regular basis, print them out before each staff meeting and sit down and go over the numbers with them, and basically just teach them how to own the school, teach them how to run the school. The reason why Sensei Nick has been successful, the reason why Master Fareed has been successful is not because they simply went in and motivated their staff and kept them excited. It was because they did a knowledge transfer in each staff meeting, giving them a little piece of what it takes to run a small business. And because they continue to do that, they've got a rock-solid team that is now driving their school without them even there. So that's really the theme of today. The theme of today in 2012 was assessing what it is you need to do, planning out how you're going to do it, and then executing. And if you were in this webinar and you're at the 0 to 50 level and you saw some things in the 100 level or the 150 plus level that you felt you should be doing now, I encourage you to do them, but make sure you covered off the things in the 0 to 50 level first. Don't get ahead of yourself. We spent some time and have done a lot of research to determine what are the bare essentials at each level, and we heavily recommend you follow the steps that we provided in today's webinar.